Section 2, Types of Empirical Research. This lecture covers Section 2 in Making Sense of Statistics. When we talk, another example in our textbook is that a waiter or waitress might try being more friendly to see if it increases his or her tips. In this example, the friendlier waitress is the treatment and more tips are the response. In an experiment, the treatments are called. The purpose of an experiment is to identify cause and effect relationships. In looking at our example of friendlier waitressing or waiters earning more tips, we would say that the possible cause would be the waitress being friendlier. The possible effect would be more tips. We as researchers are interested in finding out whether the increased friendliness causes increased tips. Our textbook indicates there may be alternative explanations for increased tips. We know that some informal experiments can be misleading. Suppose the waiter or waitress notices that when they are friendlier, they get larger tips, but the answer is not clear whether the increased friendliness caused the increase in tips. It may be the customers were more generous that evening. Maybe a newspaper article was published on tipping, which urged people to be more generous because of the lower pay rate of wait staff. Perhaps the waiter was not only more friendly, but also more efficient, and it was the efficiency that caused the increase in tips. The possibilities are endless unless the experiment is planned in advance to specifically eliminate them. So how could an experiment on friendliness and tipping work? Well, we would need an appropriate controlled condition. We would need the waiter to be friendlier to alternative parties of customers. These customers would be the experimental group. We then need a control group who are customers receiving the normal amount of friendly. Then we would use statistics to compare the average earned tips under the more friendly condition and the friendlier condition. An example may be a survey in which the researcher wants to determine the participants' attitudes. Let's say the researcher wants to determine students or the participants' attitudes toward older adults. The researcher tries not to change the participants' attitudes. All they want to do is measure what the attitudes are. If the sample is properly drawn and the questions are well crafted, a researcher can obtain solid data on the attitudes held by the students toward older adults. Note, the researcher did a non-experimental study on attitudes and has not gathered data on how to change these attitudes. To do this, the researcher would need to conduct an experiment. Remember, a non-experimental study is one in which no treatments are administered. This concludes Section 2 in Making Sense of Statistics. Please complete the section questions.